places here. That's Wobble, beautiful people. That's Wobble, top of the day, top of the day. Of course, none of my pens would be here. Not now, one of them. Of course. Got one. Kids, I tell you, they be in my stuff. You messing with my stuff. That's Wobble, yeah. That's Wobble. All right, beautiful people. Today, I got a dread hanging out in the... I did not catch that. I had a whole dread hanging out in the back. Oh, snap. I felt some rubbing on my neck. I'm like, what is that? I normally swipe my hand across the back of my neck. Okay, I didn't realize it was a whole dread hanging out. Okay, I'm good now. Hey, quiet up there. They up bright and early, y'all. Bright and early, they up. Well, happy Thursday to everybody who's here. Happy Thursday. It is day 32. Hold on, I didn't say the date. It is December 24th, 2020, day 32 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, also known as the Book of Instruction. Today, y'all, we are reading Enoch. We're going to start in the chapters of some of my favorite chapters. We're going to start getting into like the constellation and nature and stuff like that. It's going to tell you a little bit about that. So we're going to read Enoch chapters 70 to 73 today. All right, y'all. Then we're going to hop right over to the Legends of the Jews and pick up the remaining portion of Noah. That's going to be pretty interesting today. Peace and blessings, Aliyah. Yes, all is well. Yes, amen. The kids are up. They just allowed. So excuse the shenanigans ahead of time. All right, y'all, let's get started. Enoch chapter 70. Well, hold on a second. We're going to read. They're pretty long. Not pretty long, but... I mean, I guess 72 is... Okay, we'll do the 73. I just didn't double check the length of the chapters, but it's really not that long for real. Okay, shalom, mother. Okay, y'all. Enoch chapter 70. After this, the name of the son of Adam living with Yahuwah Sebawoti. Pay attention to that. Who they say the son of Adam here is referring to everybody. After this, the name of the son of Adam living with Yahuwah Sebawoti was exalted by the inhabitants of the earth. It was exalted in the chariots of the spirit, and the name went forth in the midst of them. From that time I was not drawn into the midst of them, but he seated me between the two spirits, between the north and the west, where the angels received their ropes, to measure out a place for the elect and the righteous. There I beheld the fathers of the first men and the holy ones who dwell in that place forever. Enoch chapter 71. Afterward, my spirit was concealed, ascending into the heavens. I beheld the sons of the holy angels treading on flaming fire, whose garments and robes were white, and whose countenances were transparent as crystal. I saw 2 rivers of fire glittering like the jacinth. Then I fell on my face before Yahuwah Sebawoti, and Michael, one of the archangels, took me by my right hand, raised me up, and brought me out where was every secret mercy and secret righteousness. He showed me all the hidden things of the extremities of heaven, all the receptacles of the stars and the splendors of all, from whence they went forth, and before the face of the holy. And he concealed the spirit of Enoch in the heaven of heavens. There I beheld in the midst of that light a building raised with stones of ice, and in the midst of these stones tongues of living fire. My spirit saw the circle. My spirit saw around the circle of this flaming habitation on one of its extremities, rivers full of living fire, which encompassed it. Then the seraphim, the cherubim, and the Ophanim surrounded it. These are those who never sleep, but watch the throne of his glory. And I beheld angels innumerable, thousands of thousands, and myriads who surrounded that habitation. Michael, Raphael, Gabriel, Peniel, and the holy angels who were in the heaven above went in and out of it. Michael, Raphael, and Gabriel went out of that habitation, and holy angels innumerable. With them was the Ancient of Days, whose head was white as wool and pure, and his robe was indescribable. Then I fell upon my face, while all my flesh was dissolved, and my spirit became changed. I cried out with a loud voice, with a powerful spirit, blessing, glorifying, and exalting. And those blessings which proceeded from my mouth became acceptable in the presence of the Ancient of Days. The Ancient of Days came with Michael and Gabriel, Raphael, and Peniel, with thousands of thousands and myriads, which could not be numbered. Then that angel came to me, and with his voice saluted me, saying, You are the son of Adam, who is born for righteousness, and righteousness has rested upon you. So who is the son of Adam here? Who is talking? Who's the son of Adam? You guessed it right. They are talking to Enoch. Here, the son of Adam is Enoch. I'll go back to 17. Then the angel came to me, and with his voice saluted me, saying, You are the son of Adam, who was born for righteousness, and righteousness has rested upon you. The righteousness of the Ancient of Days shall not forsake you. He said, On you shall he confer peace in the name of the existing world. For from thence has peace gone forth since the world was created. And thus shall it happen to you forever and ever. All who shall exist and who shall walk in your path of righteousness shall not forsake you forever. With you shall be their habitation, with you their lot, nor from you shall they be separated forever and ever. And thus shall length of days be with the son of Adam. Peace shall be to the righteous, and the path of integrity shall the righteous pursue in the name of Yahuwah Sebawoti forever and ever. Enoch chapter 72. The Sefer of the revolutions of the luminaries of heaven, according to their respective classes, their respective powers, their respective periods, their respective names, the places where they commenced their progress, and their respective months, which Uriel, the holy angel who was with me, explained to me, he who conducted them. Now, Enoch chapter 72 all the way to Enoch chapter 82 will give us the wisdom and a lot of the portion of what I study to understand what's going on outside in nature, at least, in the sky, right? And actually recognizing the seasons. I was kind of taught the seasons growing up, but now that I actually know, we can pinpoint things, but it's very specific here in what will be happening and signs you can be looking for to see that the seasons are changing if you were never taught, okay? The whole account of them according to every year of the world forever, until a new work shall be effected, which will be eternal. This is the first law of the luminaries. The sun and the light arrive at the gates of heaven, which are on the east, and on the west of it at the western gates of heaven. I beheld the gates which the sun goes forth, and the gates where the sun sets, in which gates also the moon rises and sets, and conductors of the stars among those who precede them, 6 at the rising and 6 at the setting of the sun. All these, respectively, one after another, are on a level, and numerous windows are on the right and on the left sides of those gates. First proceeds forth that great luminary, which is called the sun, the orb of which is as the orb of heaven, the whole of it being replete with splendid and flaming fire. Its chariot, where it ascends, the wind blows. The sun sets in heaven, and returning by the north to proceed towards the east, it is conducted so as to enter by that gate and illuminate the face of heaven. In the same manner it goes forth in the first month by the great gate. It goes forth through the fourth of those 6 gates which are at the rising of the sun. And in the 4th gate, from which the sun rises in the first month, there are 12 open windows, from which issues out a flame. When they are open in their And in the 4th gate, from which the sun rises in the first month, there are 12 open windows, from which issues forth out a flame when they are open in their proper periods. When the sun rises in heaven, it goes forth through this 4th gate 30 days, and by the 4th gate in the west of heaven on a level with it descends. During that period, the day is lengthened from the day, and the night curtailed from the night for 30 days. And then the day is longer by 2 parts than the night. The day is precisely 10 parts, and the night is 8. So they implemented daylight savings time, but it's never really been like a daylight savings time term per se, but they do mark it. But even if they never showed us, we would clearly be able to tell during this time we would be in the first month, and how the length of day is longer. It literally begins to stay light longer, and it really doesn't, at least here in Virginia, it doesn't really start getting dark. You can see it getting dark around about 8:30, and by 9 o'clock it's dark. It like gets dark really fast once it starts getting dark, but as the summer goes on, it progresses, just like when the seasons are starting to change, the days get shorter and the nights get longer. Okay, I'm sure y'all know, y'all pay attention to that. The day is precisely 10 parts, and the night is 8. The sun goes forth through this 4th gate and sets in it, and turns to the 5th gate during 30 days, after which it proceeds from and sets in the 5th gate. Then the day becomes lengthened by a 2nd portion, so that it is 11 parts, while the night becomes shortened and is only 7 parts. The sun now returns to the east, entering into the 6th gate, and rising and setting in the 6th gate 31 days, on account of its signs. At that period, the day is longer than the night, being twice the night, and become 12 parts. But the night is shortened and becomes 6 parts. Then the sun rises up, and that the day may be shortened and the night lengthened. And the sun returns to the east, entering into the 6th gate, where it rises and sets for 30 days. When that period is complete, the day becomes shortened precisely 1 part, so that it is 11 parts, while the night is 7 parts. You know what? I just realized I did not do the shimmer. After we finish reading this, we're going to do the shimmer. I literally just thought about that while I was reading this line right here. I'm sorry, y'all. Then the sun goes from the west, from that 6th gate, and proceeds eastward, rising in the 5th gate for 30 days, and setting again westward in the 5th gate of the west. At that period, the day becomes shortened 2 parts, and is 10 parts, while the night is 8 parts. Then the sun goes from the 5th gate as it sets in the 5th gate of the west, and rises in the 4th gate for 31 days on account of its signs setting in the west. Now, reading through this the first couple times, y'all be like, what? Yeah, in one ear, out the other. Like, I had to read this so many times, and I was like, okay, I need to write this down. Boom, boom, 30 days, 31 days. And once I got done right, I was like, oh, okay. And then I was actually able to see it. Then it became clearer. And it's a lot of other people who have drawings on what it is and how the sun rises, and it rises and descends and levels and through the gates and the windows and stuff. It's easier, or at least for me, it was easier once I began, based on what I read first, I began to draw it out, and then seeing how my drawing compared to some of the other people. It's like, oh, okay. okay, I was almost correct with that. I was like, okay, boom, let me go back and check this, So, but you may read it, and it's like, it may sound like a bunch of blah 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 blah. What? But you got to read it a couple times. I mean, if you're really interested in it, you'll go through and you'll look and you begin to observe nature. And that's what I began to do as I began to try to understand it. Actually going out my door, looking and paying attention to the sun and noticing how the light comes or begins to arrive before we can even see the sun. All those things. I'm like, wow, I never really paid attention to that. So just little things like that. And that's what it really got me hooked on. I'm like, well, this is freaking accurate. I'm like, wait a minute, why was Enoch even taken out? So okay, let me go back here. Then the sun goes from the fifth gate as it sets in the fifth gate of the west, and rises in the fourth gate for 31 days on the account of its sign setting in the west. At that period the day is made equal with the night, and being equal with it, the night becomes 9 parts and the day 9 parts. Then the sun goes forth from that gate, and it sets in the west, and returning to the east, proceeds by the third gate for 30 days, setting in the west at the third gate. At that period the night is lengthened from the day during 30 mornings, and the day is curtailed from the day during the 30 days, and the night being 10 parts precisely, and the day 8 parts. The sun now goes from the third gate as it sets in the third gate in the west, but returning to the east, it proceeds by the second gate of the east for 30 days. In like manner also it sets in the second gate in the west of heaven. At that period the night is 11 parts, and the day 7 parts. Then the sun goes at that time from the second gate as it is set in the second gate in the west, but returns to the east, proceeding by the first gate for 31 days. I know I lost some of y'all, and just y'all just got to take my word for it. You got to read through it slowly. I'm reading through it fast just because it's the reading, but I did not understand it by reading through it this fast. I just want to make that clear. I was in the Book of Enoch for months. I'm like, wait, what? I was like, am I not understanding? Wait, what is this saying? What? So literally, I'm like, all right, Father, you got to help me. I'm like, the sun moved. That's literally, I was moving like that. I'm like, wait a minute, okay, I really want to understand this, Father, you gotta help me. So by actually trying to draw it out, what I was understanding and getting better at it, it became clearer and clearer, especially once I actually started to go outside the house and pay attention to what is going on. Are the parts equivalent to hours? Now here is what I will say about this, Tiffany. Very good question. I really don't have time to go deep into it, but this talks about how in a day from what I understand, according to the Book of Enoch, a day consists of 18 hours, which would mean that an hour is longer than 60 minutes based on what I said. But it's I still really don't have that down yet, because we got such a mind screw based on how they done mess with time. And we grown up 60 minutes is an hour, 60 minutes is an hour. But when I got here, I was like, wait a minute, a day is 18 hours. When it gets to a part like daylight and stuff, they're still kind of foggy to me. I'm not even gonna sit here and try to explain it, but I've been doing some calculations and the math ain't been coming out right. I don't know. I'm honest, I don't know. But based on are the parts equivalent to hours? In the Book of Enoch, the math in here is correct, but it doesn't match up to, like I said, the 24 hour that they have given us. They done worked out the math to where it works in how we live our days now, but I don't know. I'm still looking into that. That's a really good question. That's a whole nother side conversation and video and stuff. So I will say that I'm still working on that myself. But here, it works out perfectly, but it really gets kind of screwy when you try to adjust it with the hours out here. It's like you go through that same process. We're trying to renew your mind, even with the Sabbath and how it rotates, because you got to look at it. Just look at this. And just bear with me, even for those who keep the Sabbath Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. I'm not speaking against you or anything, but you have to think about it. If, as this is going to tell us that a year is a perfect 364 days. We're going to get to that, but not till tomorrow. Well, actually, it is in today's reading. The year is precisely 364 days. But if you look at that, that's a perfect 52 weeks. Although we have a 52-week year also here on a Gregorian calendar, what's crazy is how the days change every year. Just take your birthday, for instance. If it was perfect and it was kept the same as Yahuwah set it out, your birthday would fall on the same day of the week every year. Every year, our actual birthday shifts by a day or two, just depending on if it's a leap year. Sometimes it will shift 3 days. So if your birthday falls on a Monday, your birthday should always fall on a Monday, but we know that's not true. It goes from Monday to Tuesday, then Wednesday, then before you know it, you celebrating your birthday on a Saturday and a Sunday. It's rotating like that. Why? Because they done screwed with it. You know, there was a period of time, I mentioned it before, where they completely removed 14 days out of the calendar. Where they go? How do you jump from the 2nd to the 14th of the month? That's when they were switching calendars and stuff, and all of this stuff is thrown off. You know, so and if that's the case, look, if your birthday rotates every single year, why is the Sabbath not rotating every single day of the year? It's certain things that they pick out, like with Christmas Eve, right? It's certain days that no matter what, they set it on specific days, and it doesn't matter what day of the month they call it, like the 24th and the 25th. It's always rotating on the week, right? What's today? Today is, hold on, the 24th. I hope I'm saying this right. Back up, Tay. It rotates. Hold on. I need to look at something, because I'm sitting here thinking today is what? Today is Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday. Wait a minute. Does it? 24th, like Thanksgiving. Maybe that wasn't a good example. But y'all get what I'm saying, right? It rotates. It moves because it's been screwed with so much. You got to wonder, okay, why is this shifting, but this is not shifting? You see what I'm saying? I hope that made sense. I didn't mess myself up. Okay. All right. So, but yeah, that I just want to bring out that point. Why some things shift throughout the week. It keeps the same day, like the numbered day, but it changes the actual day of the week, like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I began to look at it. I was like, how is that making sense? Especially with the different adding and subtracting of days out of the calendar and stuff, so okay. But yeah, I don't know. Tiffany's still looking into it about the equivalent to the hours. The parts, is it equivalent to hours? The parts of the day, is it equivalent to hours? Still looking at that. It is, but not the way we currently see it, because the way we currently see it is on a different time schedule on what they've created, so it makes sense to us on what we're on because we've been living in it, but it doesn't quite line up to what the Book of Enoch says. Okay. Then the sun goes at the time from the second gate as it sets in the second gate in the west, but returns to the east, proceeding by the first gate for 31 days, and sets in the west in the first gate. At that period, that night is lengthened as much again as the day. It is 12 parts precisely, while the day is 6 parts. So, we're in wintertime now. The sun has completed its beginnings, and a second time goes round from these beginnings. Into that gate it enters for 30 days and sets in the west in the opposite part. At that period, the night is contracted in its length a fourth part, that is, 1 portion, and become 11 parts. The day is 7 parts. Then the sun returns and enters into the second gate of the east. It returns by these beginnings 30 days, rising and setting. At that period, the night is contracted in its length. It becomes 10 parts, and the day 8 parts. Then the sun goes from that second gate and sets in the west, but returns to the east and rises in the east, and the third gate, 31 days, setting in the west of heaven. At that period, the night becomes shortened. It is 9 parts, and the night is equal with the day. The year is precisely 364 days. The lengthening of the day and the night and the contraction of the day and the night are made to differ from each other by the progress of the sun. By means of this, progress of the day is daily lengthened, and the night is greatly shortened. This is the law and progress of the sun, and its turning when it turns back, turning during 60 days and going forth. This is the great everlasting luminary, that which he names the sun, forever and ever. This also is that which goes forth, a great luminary, and which is named after its peculiar kind, as Yahuwah commanded. And thus it goes in and out, neither slacking nor resting, but running on in its chariot by day and by night. Its light is 7 times brighter than that of the moon, but the dimensions of both are equal. And it's talking about the sun and moon. Remember before I told you that the sun and the moon are the exact same size. All right, y'all, last chapter for the day in Enoch. Enoch chapter 73. After this law, I beheld another law of an inferior luminary, the name of which is the moon, and the orb of which is as the orb of heaven. Its chariot secretly ascends, the wind blows, and the light is given to it by measure. Every month at its exit and entrance it becomes changed, and its periods are as the periods of the sun. And when the moon is full, and its light is a 7th portion of the light. When the moon is full, its light is a 7th portion from the light of the sun. Thus it rises, and at its commencement towards the east goes forth for 30 days. At that time it appears and becomes to you the beginning of the month. Right, okay. Make sure I wasn't reading it wrong. At the time it appears and becomes to you. I keep reading it wrong. I'm reading it, but I'm thinking about it wrong. At the time it appears and becomes the beginning of the month for you. 30 days with the sun in the gate from which the sun goes forth. Half of it is in extent 7 portions, 1, and the whole of its orb is void of light, except a 7th portion out of the 14 portions of its light. And in a day it receives a 7th portion, or half of its light. Its light is by 7s, by 1 portion, and by the half. It sets with the sun. Remember I told you in the beginning of the month, if you go out there and you actually pay attention, when the sun rises right over here. At the beginning of the month, you can tell every time, whenever you see the sun, the moon rising with the sun, and it'll be the little sliver. We would have been already had the new moon, which is dark, but you can't call it until you can actually see the first sliver. That's a new moon. She's beginning to feel again. She's starting anew. That new sliver will begin to rise with the sun, and they'll have that same course throughout the first few days. They'll rise and set together. But as the month progresses and the moon gains more of her light, she'll begin to rise later and later until the 15th day, and she's full of light. Then she will begin to rise at night and begin to light the night. Right? Okay, let's read. Its light is by 7s, by 1 portion, and by the half. It sets with the sun, and when the sun rises, the moon rises with it, receiving a half portion of light. On that night, when it commences its period, previously to the day of the month, the moon sets with the sun. And on that night it is dark 14 portions, that is, half, but it rises on that day with 1/7 portion precisely, and in its progress declines from the rising of the sun. Remember, it's going to start rising later and later. The more light she gets, the later she's going to rise. During the remainder of its period, its light increases to 14 portions. And we'll pick up the rest of this tomorrow, beautiful people. All right, so I hope you understood that for the most part. Like I said, still working on how the portions agree with the hours, but still working on that calculation. I got some materials that I'm working with, but I gotta like do math, you know. So it's taking me a little while to make sure I got it right, you know, because I actually have to observe it too. All right, y'all. Oh, the shimmer. Before I get started. Okay, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to, until I get in the groove of it, because I've been doing this already 3 years without doing the shimmer. Hold on. Okay. All right, y'all. So Deuteronomy 6. Hear therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with thee, and that ye may increase mightily, as Yahuwah, the God of thy fathers, has promised thee, in the land that floweth with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah our God, he is one God. And you shall love Yahuwah thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou risest up, and when thou liest down. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thy eyes. Remember, in our action and in our thoughts guide our action, right? Let's be mindful of that. And thou shalt write them upon the posts of thy house and upon thy gates. And you should command your whole household to keep Yahuwah's laws, right? And Yahuwah commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahuwah our God for our good always, that he might preserve us alive as it is this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahuwah our God, as he has commanded us. All right, y'all. All right, so Volume 1, Legends of the Jews, picking up yesterday with Noah. Remember, everybody's out the ark now. And if you're following along, it's page 55. Now, right here is a very interesting part, because not only are we going to find out what happened, let me not say it. Let me not give it away. Okay, listen, pay attention, y'all. Noah lost his ephphathet, or his piousness, when he began to occupy himself with the growing of the vine. He became a man of the ground, and this first attempt to produce wine at the same time produced the first drink to excess, the first to utter curses upon his associates, and the first to introduce slavery. This is the way it all came about. Noah found the vine which Adam had taken with him from paradise when he was driven forth. He tasted the grapes upon it, and finding them palatable, he resolved to plant the vine intended. On the selfsame day on which he planted it, it bore fruit. He put it in the winepress, drew off the juice, drank it, became drunken, and was dishonored, all in one day. So remember, back here in this day, their harvest was coming extremely fast. Like I just said, all in one day, you know, all this happened. I'll read it again. Salutations, Nikki. He tasted the grapes upon it, and finding them palatable, he resolved to plant the vine intended. On the self same day on which he planted it, it bore fruit. He put it in the winepress, drew off the juice, drank it, and became drunken, and was dishonored, all in one day. His assistant in the work of cultivating the vine was Satan, who had happened along at the very moment when he was engaging in planting the slip he had found. Satan asked him, "What is it thou art planting here?" Noah, "A vineyard." Satan, "And what may be the qualities of what it produces?" Noah, "The fruit it bears is sweet, be it dry or moist. It yields wine that rejoiceth the heart of man." Satan, "Let us go into partnership in this business of planting a vineyard." Noah, "Agreed." Satan thereupon slaughtered a lamb, and then in succession a lion, a pig, and a monkey. Excuse me. Hey! Y'all better sit y'all butts down up there. Y'all hear that? I know y'all hear that. I know y'all hear that. Joshua! messing around. I know y'all hate that. Okay. Satan thereupon slaughtered a lamb, and then in succession a lion, a pig, and a monkey. The blood of each, as it was killed, he made to flow under the vine. Thus he conveyed to Noah what the qualities of wine are. Listen to this. Thus he conveyed to Noah what the qualities of wine are. Before man drinks of the wine, he is innocent as a lamb. If he drinks of it moderately, absolutely not. You want me to pop your butt? Go on upstairs. Y'all know I'm live. Calm that down.
Josh is trying to hit me.
Joshua. Bye, Isaiah. I'm sorry, y'all. The blood of each, as it was killed, he made to flow under the vine. Thus he conveyed to Noah what the qualities of wine are. Before man drinks of it, he is innocent as a lamb. If he drinks of it moderately, he feels as strong as a lion. If he drinks more of it than he can bear, he resembles the pig. And if he drinks to the point of intoxication, then he behaves like a monkey. He dances around, sings, talks obscenely, and knows not what he is doing. Yeah, I know y'all heard it, Tiffany. This deterred Noah no more than did the example of Adam, whose fall had also been due to wine, for the forbidden fruit had been the grape, with which he made himself drunk. In his drunken condition, Noah betook himself to the tent of his wife, and his son Ham saw him there. And he told his brothers what he had noticed. Pay attention to this, y'all. Now, y'all gonna, this is what I was gonna say. I want to give it away. I'm still not gonna give it away, but just pay attention here to what happens, because when we don't have all the information, we're kind of left to our imagination to kind of come up with our own conclusions about what happened. But with a little bit more information, we can kind of come up with a better summation of what happened here, right? Okay. In his drunken condition, Noah betook himself to the tent of his wife. His son Ham saw him there, and he told his brothers what he had noticed, and said, the first man had but 2 sons, and one slew the other. Meaning Adam. He's referring to Adam. Ham is referring to Adam. The first man had 2 sons, and one, Cain slew Abel. That's who he's talking about here. He said, the first man had but 2 sons, and one slew the other. This man Noah, now he's referring to his father. He said, this man Noah, like daddy, listen. This man Noah has 3 sons. Remember who his 3 sons were? Which of Ham was one of them. Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Listen. This man has 3 sons, yet he desires to beget a 4th besides. Why did he say that? Why? Because Noah was drunk. He just wanted to go pay his wife a visit. He said Noah took himself to his wife's tent. He wanted to get it on. He was feeling right. He was, hey, sis, let's go. Come on, me and you, right? Ham saw this, so he like, look, did it and went into the tent. Look, yeah, he desires to beget a 4th son. Yet he desires to beget a 4th besides. Nor did Ham rest satisfied with these disrespectful words against his father. He added to his sin of irreverence the still greater outrage of attempting to perform an operation upon his father to prevent procreation. I read that again. What does it sound like to y'all? He added to this sin of irreverence the still greater outrage of attempting to perform an operation upon his father designed to prevent procreation, right? Noah only had 3 sons. Was Ham successful in what he attempted to do, perform upon his father? Listen. When Noah awoke from his wine and became sober, he pronounced a curse upon Ham in the person of his youngest son Canaan. To Ham himself he could do no harm, for Yahuwah had conferred a blessing upon Noah and his 3 sons as they departed from the ark. Therefore he put the curse upon the last-born son, the son that had prevented him from begetting a younger son than the 3 that he had. Castration. That's exactly what it sounds like, Nikki. So he was prevented, and we know up until this time, Noah had no more children. So what Ham went to do to him while he was laying drunk in there in the tent, probably naked too. I'm sure, yeah, he was naked because they had to go. His brothers had to go cover him up. So he was successful because Noah had no more children. That's why he was cursed. That's why Noah cursed Canaan. Okay, I'll read that again. I'll just read the whole section again, just in case somebody wasn't paying attention. In his drunken condition, Noah betook himself to the tent of his wife. His son Ham saw him there, and he told his brothers what he had noticed, and said, the first man had but 2 sons, and one slew the other. This man Noah has 3 sons, yet he desires to beget a 4th. Nor did Ham rest satisfied with these disrespectful words against his father. He added to this sin of irreverence the still greater outrage of attempting to perform an operation upon his father designed to prevent procreation. When Noah awoke from his wine and became sober, he pronounced a curse upon Ham in the person of his youngest son Canaan. To Ham himself he could do no harm, for Yahuwah had conferred a blessing upon Noah and his 3 sons as they departed from the ark. Therefore he put the curse upon the last-born son of the son that had prevented him from begetting a younger son that had the younger son than, let me read that again. Therefore he put the curse upon the last-born son of the son that had prevented him from begetting a younger son than the 3 he had. The descendants of Ham through Canaan therefore have red eyes, because Ham looked upon the nakedness of his father. They have mishapen lips, because Ham spoke with his lips to his brothers about the unseemly condition of his father. They have twisted curly hair, because Ham turned and twisted his head around to see the nakedness of his father. And they go about naked, because Ham did not cover the nakedness of his father. Thus he was requited. Think about it. Think about the descendants of Ham. Think about how tight them naps is on their head, bruh. That's a reminder. You twisting your lips against your father. You thank your daddy for your greater hair, bruh. No, I'm joking. Thus, I read it again, just in case y'all missed it. The descendants of Ham through Canaan therefore have red eyes, because Ham looked upon the nakedness of his father. They have mishapen lips, because Ham spoke with his lips to his brothers about the unseemly condition of his father. They have twisted curly hair, because Ham turned and twisted his head round to see the nakedness of his father. And they go about naked, because Ham did not cover the nakedness of his father. Thus he was requited. For it is the way of Yahuwah to mete out punishment measure for measure, which we know. Think about the 40 days of the flood. He metes out sin. He metes out punishment measure for measure. Remember, I said it was 40 days because of all the shenanigans that the Nephilim and stuff, and they were 40 days in the womb. That's why the flood was 40 days. Well, it rained 40 days, right? Yes, thus he was requited, for it is the way of Yahuwah to mete out punishment measure for measure. Canaan had to suffer vicariously for his father's sin, yet some of the punishment was inflicted upon him on his own account. For it had been Canaan who had drawn the attention of Ham to Noah's revolting condition. So it wasn't just Ham alone. So that curse rested well upon Canaan, because he went and told his father, hey, daddy, go look at granddaddy. Look, hey, go pick. I walk past his tent. You probably should go take a look, Yet some of the punishment was inflicted upon him on his own account, for it had been Canaan who had drawn the attention of Ham to Noah's revolting condition. Ham, it appears, was but the worthy father of such a son, just like your daddy. The last will and testament of Canaan addressed to his children reads as follows: Speak not the truth, hold not yourselves aloof from theft, lead a dissolute life, hate your master with exceeding great hate, and love one another. This is for real, y'all. This is like for real today, for real. As Ham was made to suffer requital for his irreverence, so Shem and Japheth received a reward for the filial differential way in which they took a garment and laid it both upon their shoulders, and walking backward with averted faces, covered the nakedness of their father. Naked the descendants of Ham, the Egyptians and Ethiopians, were led away captive and into exile by the king of Assyria, while the descendants of Shem, the Assyrians, even when the angel of Yahuwah burnt them in the camp, were not exposed. Their garments remained upon their corses unsinged. And even if you look in some of the history of the people, even some of the documentaries on Negro land and stuff, when they started recognizing different people over here, there was clearly a distinction between these tribes of people, because there were people that were over there that had the habit of walking around naked, barely clothed, but there was a people who was always clothed. And even in their captivity, and even when it said that Yahuwah caused them to be burned in the camp, he allowed their bodies to stay covered, right? I read that again. Naked, the descendants of Ham, the Egyptians and Ethiopians, were led away captive into exile by the king of Assyria, while the descendants of Shem, the Assyrians, even when the angel of Yahuwah burnt them in the camp, were not exposed. Their garments remained upon their corpses unsinged. And in time to come, when Gog shall suffer his defeat, Yahuwah will provide both shrouds and a place of burial for him and all his multitude, the posterity of Japheth. Though Shem and Japheth both showed themselves to be dutiful and differential, yet it was Shem who deserved the larger meed of praise. He was the first to set about covering his father. Japheth joined him after the good deed had been begun. Therefore, the descendants of Shem receive as their special reward the talit, the garment worn by them, while the Japhethites only have the toga. You know, a talit covers both shoulders, and a toga only covers one. And you go back in history, some of them are still doing that now. They may wear it over one shoulder while fully clothed or whatever, but you can tell the difference, right? Yes, baby girl. Yes, baby. I'll make y'all smoothies in a minute. Hold on, I'm almost done. I'll make everybody one. A further distinction accorded to Shem was the mention of his name in connection with Yahuwah's blessing of Noah. Blessed be the God of Shem. Blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem, he said, though as a rule the name of Yahuwah is not joined to the name of a living person, only to the name of one who has departed this life. The relation of Shem to Japheth was expressed in the blessing their father pronounced upon them. Yahuwah will grant a land of beauty to Japheth, and his sons will be proselytes dwelling in the academies of Shem. Excuse me. Yahuwah will grant a land of beauty to Japheth, and his sons will be proselytes dwelling in the academies of Shem. At the same time, Noah conveyed by his words that the Shekinah would dwell only in the first temple erected by Solomon, a son of Shem, and not in the second temple, the builder of which would be Cyrus, a descendant of Japheth. All right, y'all, we'll be at 48. Okay, we're going to read this next section, and then we're going to call it a day for today. Noah's descendants spread abroad. This is pretty good, too, y'all. We can also read some of this if you're familiar with the book of Jasher. Jasher, and also in Jubilees. I believe it's Jubilees chapter 15. I think it's chapter 15 where the land is divided. I think it's 15. I always get 12 and 15 mixed up, just like Genesis 12 and 15, because they seem to go hand in hand. But I want to say it's Jubilee, or could be 10. I'll post it since I already mentioned it. But it talks about this there too. Okay. Hold on. I'm almost done, but we'll make everybody smooth. Hold on. Noah's descendants spread abroad. When it became known to Ham that his father had cursed him, he fled away ashamed, and with his family he settled in the city built by him, and named Nelem Tamuk for his wife. Jealous of his brother, Japheth followed his example. He likewise built a city which he named for his wife, Adatanases. Shem was the only one of the sons of Noah who did not abandon him. In the vicinity of his father's home, by the mountain, he built his city, to which he also gave his wife's name, Zedeketel Bab. The three cities are all near Mount Lubar, the eminence upon which the ark rested. The first lies to the south of it, the second to the west, and the third to the east. Noah endeavored to inculcate. Noah endeavored to inculcate the ordinances and the commands known to him upon his children, or impart them. Okay, that's another word for impart. Noah endeavored to impart the ordinances and the commands known to him upon his children and his children's children. In particular, he admonished them against the fornication, the uncleanness, and all the iniquity which had brought the flood down upon the earth. He reproached them with living apart from one another and with their jealousies, for he feared that after his death they might go as far as to shed human blood. Against this he warned them impressively, that they might not annihilate from the earth like those that went before. Another law which he enjoined upon them to observe it was the law ordaining that the fruit tree shall not be used in the first 3 years it bears, and even in the 4th year it shall be the portion of the priest alone, after a part thereof has been offered upon the altar of Yahuwah. And having made an end of giving his teachings and injunctions, Noah said, hey guys, quiet. Noah said, for thus did Enoch, your ancestor, exhort his son Methuselah, and Methuselah his son Lamech. And Lamech delivered all unto me, as his father had bidden him. And now I do exhort you, my children, as Enoch exhorted his son, when he lived in his generation, which was the 7th generation of man. He commanded it and testified it unto his children and his children's children unto the day of his death. In the year 1569, after the creation of the world, Noah divided the earth by lot among his 3 sons in the presence of an angel. Hey, Josh, calm down. Each one stretched forth his hand and took a slip from the bosom of Noah. Shem's slip was inscribed with the middle of the earth, and this portion became the inheritance of his descendants unto all eternity. Nor rejoiced that the lot had been assigned to Shem. Thus was fulfilled his blessing upon him, and God in the habitation of Shem. For 3 holy places fell within his precincts: the Holy of Holies in the temple, Mount Sinai, the middle point of the desert, and Mount Zion, the middle point of the navel of the earth. So it's the Holy of Holies, Mount Sinai, and Mount Zion. The south lot fell to the lot of Ham. The south fell to the lot of Ham, and the north became the inheritance of Japheth. The land of Ham is hot. Think about this, y'all, as we're reading this. Think about these places upon the earth, which may not include everything, because there are some places that are excluded and we cannot go, but this is how it's divided up. The south fell to the lot of Ham, and the north became the inheritance of Japheth. The land of Ham is hot. Japheth's land is cold, but Shem's is neither hot nor cold. Its temperature is hot and cold mixed. The divisions of the earth took place toward the end of the life of Peleg, the name given to him by his father Eber, who, being a prophet, knew that the division of the earth would take place in the time of his son. The brother of Peleg was called Joktan, because the duration of the life of man was shortened in his time. And we also read about that, but the way it's laid out in the Bible, it has us thinking another way, often to it leads you in a misguided direction, the way it's labeled, because it's missing some stuff, right? Okay. In turn, the 3 sons of Noah, while they were standing in the presence of their father, divided each his portion among his children. Noah threatening with the curse any who should stretch out his hand and take the portion not assigned to him by lot. And they all cried, so be it, so be it. Thus were divided 104 lands and 99 islands among 72 nations, each with a language of its own, using 16 different sets of characters for writing. To Japheth were allotted 44 lands, 33 islands, 22 languages, and 5 kinds of writing. Ham received 34 lands, 33 islands, 24 languages, and 5 kinds of writing. And Shem, 26 lands, 33 islands, 26 languages, and 6 kinds of writing. One set of written characters more to Shem than the other of his brothers, the extra set being the Hebrew. The land appointed as the inheritance of the 12 sons of Jacob was provisionally granted to Canaan, Zidon, Heth, the Jebusites, the Amorites, the Girgashites, the Hivites, the Arkites, the Sinites, the Arvadites, the Zemarites, and the Hamathites. Remember, these were also the people who were living in the land when Yahuwah brought them out of captivity. They were just tenants keeping the land until the real tenants, the real people who were purposed and promised to live there, until they showed up. Right? Listen, I'll read it again. The land appointed as the inheritance of the 12 sons of Jacob was provisionally granted to Canaan, Zidon, Heth, the Jebusites, the Amorites, the Girgashites, the Hivites, the Arkites, the Sinites, the Arvadites, the Zemarites, and the Hamathites. It was the duty of these nations to take care of the land until the rightful owners should come. No sooner had the children of Noah and their children's children taken possession of the habitations appointed to them, then the unclean spirits began to seduce men and torment them with pain and all sorts of suffering, leading to spiritual and physical death, which we read about in where? Enoch chapter 15. Remember, those are the spirits whose habitation is here in the earth. They can be hidden and they can make themselves known. Those are the ones who showed up. We read about that in Enoch chapter 15. If you forgot, go back and read Enoch chapter 15. It gives you details of where they came from. And they are here to just literally agitate and piss us off and mess with us, right? Okay, listen, I read it again. No sooner had the children of Noah and their children's children taken possession of the habitations apportioned to them, then the unclean spirits began to seduce men and torment them with pain and all sorts of suffering, leading to spiritual and physical death. Upon the entreaties of Noah, Yahuwah sent down the angel Raphael, who banished 9/10 of the unclean spirits from the earth, leaving but 1/10 for Mastema, which we also read about. We read about Mastema, and the 1/10 that's currently living here. Upon the entreaties of Noah, Yahuwah sent down the angel Raphael, who banished 9/10 of the unclean spirits from the earth, leaving but 1/10 for Mastema to punish sinners through them. Raphael, supported by the chief of the unclean spirits, at that time revealed to Noah all the remedies residing in plants, that he might resort to them at need. Noah recorded them in a book, which he transmitted to his son Shem. This is the source to which go back all the medical books which wise men of India, Aram, Macedonia, and Egypt draw their knowledge. The sages of India devoted themselves particularly to the study of curative trees and spices. The Armenians were well versed in the knowledge of the properties of grains and seeds, and they translated the old medical books into their language. Guys, hush! The wise men of Macedonia were the first to apply medical knowledge practically, while the Egyptians sought to effect cures by means of magic arts and by means of astrology, and they taught the midrash of the Chaldees, composed by Kangar, the son of the son of Kesed. Medical skills spread further and further until the time of Asclepius. This Macedonian sage, accompanied by 40 learned magicians, journeyed from country to country until they came to the land beyond India in the direction of paradise. They hoped there to find some wood of the tree of life, and thus spread their fame abroad over the whole world. their hope was frustrated. When they arrived at the spot, they found healing trees and wood of the tree of life. But when they were in the act of stretching forth their hands to gather what they desired, lightning darted out of the ever-turning sword, smote them to the ground, and they were all burnt. With them disappeared all knowledge of medicine, and it did not revive until the time of the first Artaxerxes, under the Macedonian sage Hippocrates, Disocorides of Bela, Galen of Caftor, and the Hebrew Asaph. And this we know to be true. If we look at these sections in the world, these what's the word I want to use? These groups of people in India and over in Egypt and what they practice, like the magic arts and stuff, we know this stuff to be true. If your eyes are open and you paid attention to stuff, some people, they're going to use the herbs, but some people are going to use magic arts. They're using it in illegal fashions, and some people are using it legally, but it's here. Everything that we read about is here. But Yahuwah also tells us, he tells us not to suffer or which to live. So those who would take these things and use it for evil, that's a no-no. Yahuwah said to stay away from that. Don't do it. But there is a legal way and legal remedies to heal the body of different things Yahuwah has given it to us. He has authorized some of these things, right? And it's been passed down, right? Okay, y'all. So that's our reading for today. That was Legends of the Jews. We started at page 55 all the way to 57. Yes, baby, I'm about to make your smoothie. And in the book of Enoch, we read Enoch chapter 70 to 73. It is December the 24th, 2020, day 32 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, also known as the book of instruction. And of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 701. Hallelujah, Michael. Yes, amen. Yes, baby girl.
I got too much.
Oh, a whole bowl of blueberries. You gonna eat them or you pouring them in the blender? Blender. Okay. Thank you for getting them out. Okay, y'all. So let's do this blessing real quick because they loud and they want smoothies. Okay. I'll think about it, son. Because I let them play on it. I'll think about it. All right, y'all. So the blessing is found in Numbers chapter 6. Remember, the first 21 verses is what? The Nazarite vow. Yes. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, May Yahuwah bless us and keep us. May Yahuwah make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon us and give us his peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. All right, beautiful people. I love y'all. Let me go ahead and get out of here because they starting to do the most. All right. I love y'all. Thank you, everybody, for joining in today on YouTube and Facebook. I love y'all. And I'll see y'all bright and early in the morning. I know today is Christmas Eve and tomorrow's Christmas for those that still celebrate. I'm not sure if anybody here maybe have families. I don't know. Some people. I don't know. But we still going to be here regardless because we stand our post. We celebrate Yahuwah's feast days, you know. So, all right, y'all. I love y'all. And I'll see you in the morning, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Boo.